Hello and welcome everybody to the final project presentations for our Blue March cohort. Blue March, I remember your first day full-time 12 weeks ago and all of that excitement and energy as you met all of us and each other for the first time. You've all come a really, really long way in the last 16 weeks. And I am so proud of what you've all accomplished and how you've all grown. So with that, let's move on to what's going to happen this evening. So this is the intro. Hello and welcome. This bit's nearly done. Then there will be some presentations. So the Blue March cohort have been in 4 groups for the last couple of weeks, and each of those groups will present their work. And then there will be a short Q&A at the end for any questions you in the audience have about makers and the course. And with that, let the presentations roll. Over to you, Team Speedy.
Cool. Hi, everyone. We are Team Speedy. We've created an app called Pace, which rallies around the mantra of feeling safer and training harder. There's 5 of us in our team. There we are. And originally, the idea was about bringing people together over mutual interests. So things that they'd like to do together that we can help bring them together. And it was going to be about exercise because it can be a bit of a lonely place going to the gym, and to help you stay accountable and keep on top of your fitness goals. We thought it might be nice to have people meet up and be gym buddies. But the idea evolved even further to address something that we actually saw as a problem that we could help solve. Especially the idea of safety, in particular women's safety when going for a run. So we've created an app called Pace, which allows people to meet up safely together, wherever they are, to hold each other accountable and reach their fitness goals. So over to Unit to chat you through our team dynamic.
Thank you, Kerry. So a key part of this project for us was planning and staying organized. For this, we use Trello board, which enable us to break down each task into small chunks and keep track of them. To support knowledge sharing, we've allocated the section on the Trello board to share any good resources we found. We had daily stand-ups and retros where we assigned tasks, addressed any roadblocks, and reflected on our progress, productivity, and how much fun we had. We decided to rotate who is going to be the leader for each day. In addition to be team players, this gave us all the experience of leading a team. We also had to be agile in our approach when confronted with challenges. So we frequently reassessed and adapted our plans accordingly. And now I'll hand over to Ian to talk about our approach.
Hey, we built our application using Ruby on Rails. We used RSpec and Capybara for testing, Postgres for database management, HTML, CSS, and also JavaScript, which allowed us to dynamically respond to screen size so our application looks good and functions well on a mobile, tablet, or desktop. We also used the Google API, which allowed us to share meetup points on a map between users. We followed a strict test-driven development approach and achieved a 92% test coverage across our project. In order to avoid conflicts on merges, we merged often and with frequent commits, which worked out really well for us. The final part of our approach was to create a safe app that respects users' privacy. Before asking for information from our users, we always discuss as a team and ask the question, do we strictly need this information for our app to work? If the answer was no, we didn't request that information from the user. This meant in the end, we didn't ask our users for surnames, specific postal addresses, or any other information that wasn't required. We also had an endorsement function, which we built which helped build trust across the community with a transparent user-led recommendation. And we had a corresponding user report function. Over to Jess for our demo.
Thank you, Ian. So we're going to show you the full-size demo just for starters. So we're going to start with the sign-up functionality. Now we're going to sign up a user named Meg. Meg's a Londoner, pretty good runner, and wants to find someone to run with who has similar goals. Meg's running ability we've set as marathon, I believe, and her fitness goals are speed. Their fitness goals are speed. So once we've signed in Meg, we'll be able to see the index page, and we'll be able to see the other user profiles that we can choose from. Now you can notice straight off the bat that we have some resizing going on. We've got it responsive to different sizes, and the nav bar actually shrinks into a nice little burger menu when we get it down to the phone size. Now the next part we're going to do is the mobile experience, which is how we mainly envisioned this. We're going to log in a different user. We're going to log in Rachel. Rachel similarly wants to find someone to run with. So we're going to start off by searching for a running buddy. Now we can search by virtually any field. We can start with area, or we can start with goals. We're going to go for the goal of speed and find someone who has a similar goal to Rachel's pre-existing goals. Janet seems like a good candidate, so we're going to message Janet. Now we can see that there's already some conversation between the two, and we're agreeing to go on a run. So the next part, of course, is setting a meetup point. This is our second main function. In order to set up a meetup point, we're going to go to the meetups page. Now the meetups page has a dynamic Google map. You can click on it to set a meetup point. You can also use the search bar to find a familiar point to you to orient yourself. So once we click on the map, let's say around Hyde Park, it sets X and Y coordinates. We can attach a description to that and create an actual meetup instance, which we can then send to anyone we've had a conversation with. As you can see, it's pre-populated the message field. And when you click that link, you should see a static map that shows the exact point that we wanted to meet up at. So those are two of our functions, the search and the meetup. The third to talk about is endorsements and reporting. Now, let's say we went for a run with Meg and Meg acted in a way that we wouldn't appreciate on the app. Maybe they weren't secure, maybe they weren't respectful. For whatever reason, we can report this user. And once we've done that, we get a notification that the admin team is looking into this. On the other hand, if we have a really good run with someone, we can endorse them. And that signals to the rest of the community that you can trust this person and they're probably a good partner. For instance, Janet is an amazing running partner. So we just click that in the endorsements box. And on Janet's profile, you can see, and everyone can see, that she's a good running partner. So those are our three key features. Other stuff to mention in terms of UI is that obviously when you hover over the user profiles, you get a reaction. And we also have our beautiful animation on the meetup bar, which you're about to see that Ian worked on once we have logged in. There we go. So you can see that little X that it turns into, which is very nice. You can also see that we have a unread messages function going on for UI. So those are all the key features to talk about. I'm going to pass it over to Dom now, who's going to handle questions and the conclusion. Thank you.
Yes, so thank you, Jess. In conclusion, we felt that as a team, we identified a problem which we all felt needed addressing, and we feel like we've done that. It was a great 2-week project. We had an amazing team dynamic. And lastly, I just want to say a big thank you to my team, a big thank you to the cohort and the coaches. And yes, are there any questions?
Thank you, Team Speedy. I do have a question for you. I'd really like to know, what's the single thing you're most proud of as a team?
I'm happy to take this. I think the thing which we're most proud of was something I just touched on, was that we all had a very similar vision for the project. We liked the idea, we all connected with it instantly, and that really helped move the project forward at a pace which everyone was comfortable with. Yeah, so I guess in short, was the team dynamics was definitely the best thing in this project.
All right, fantastic. Thank you ever so much, Team Pace. And we will move on to Team Bazaar, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Alex. We are Team Bazaar, and as you can probably guess, the name of our app is Bazaar. A bazaar is a Middle Eastern marketplace, and that was the main idea of our app. This app was designed by Cynthia, myself, Mohammed, and Abda. As I touched on earlier, the main inspiration for our app is a Middle Eastern bazaar. We wanted to simulate the experience of browsing in a Middle Eastern bazaar. So walking in to different stalls, picking up products and not necessarily paying for it if you don't want to. As a team, we also prioritize learning new technologies, and we wanted to build a progressive web app as well. I'm going to touch briefly on what progressive web apps are. A progressive web app is similar to a regular web app like Netflix, Facebook, and the like. The difference being they offer native app-like experiences to the user, which basically means the user can download it on their mobile or also install it on their desktop. And this was achieved using just one code base. We decided to go with progressive web apps because we believe they're the future of web apps. I would now pass it over to Cynthia to do a demo for us.
Thank you, Fizzy. So like Fizzy mentioned, I'm going to go through the demo. And as you can see, or as Fizzy has already mentioned, we built a progressive web app. And currently I'm showing you the desktop version of our app, but I'll go on to show you how to download this to your mobile phone. First thing you need to do to access our marketplace is to sign up and sign in. To do this, I'm going to use a user that I've already created, and we're going to have a look at the website. So when you sign in, the first place you'll be taken to is the landing page. And the landing page is the home of the entire bazaar. The bazaar has been built in such a way that you don't ever have to leave the landing page in order to view all of the products. And we wanted to capture this browsing effect. And we were inspired by the likes of Netflix, who we think did this perfectly. You can, if you of course want to, go and view a particular store, and you do this simply by clicking on the store's name. And I will show you how that is done just now. If you go over and click on the name of the store, it will open the store for you and you can see all the products that the store has to offer. You can view particular products as well by clicking on them and adding them to your basket. You can also add products to your basket directly from the home page, further encapsulating that feeling of never having to leave the landing page. As Fizzy mentioned, this is only the desktop version of our app. We also have a mobile version, and the mobile version can actually be downloaded on your mobile phone simply by visiting the website link. I'm going to show you what that looks like now on my mobile phone. So when I go and visit Bazaar on my mobile phone, I'm actually invited to add this to my home screen on my mobile phone. To do this, I just click this button and I click install. And then if I go to my mobile home screen, you'll see that this will appear on my mobile phone as a native app, despite not downloading this from the App Store. So there you go. I can now click on Bazaar and it opens it up and it feels just like an app that you've downloaded from the Apple Store. Just like before, we have to sign in. When we sign in, the entire view of the page has completely changed to cater to the mobile view, but you can still have that feeling of browsing because you can click on different sections and view different store. The things that I added to my basket in the desktop view are still there. And you can also view my store, which is where I sell products that I want to sell. I can also obviously view the pictures for my product. And I can also add items to my store by clicking the banner at the top here. I'm going to fill this in automatically for you. And I'm going to click submit. And the item that I've just added to my basket will be included in my store and it'll be available for everyone else to buy from Bazaar. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Abda now, Mohammed, who's going to take over.
Thank you so much for the demo, Cynthia. So I'm going to briefly talk about our team process and the technologies that we used. So we had a very small team, so we had to be extremely efficient. For that, we used agile methodology. We had 4 sprints, regular 4 sprints. We changed our team leader on a daily basis, and we had daily stand-ups. And in those stand-ups, we would assign the tickets, and we conducted code reviews and conflict resolutions on a regular basis, so that our main app was streamlined as much as possible. We had daily retros to streamline our developer process, and we used Trello to track our progress. So in terms of technologies, so we decided to use MERN-Stack for end-to-end for our project because it's a very popular framework at the moment. We used MongoDB for our database, Express for server-side as our server-side framework, React as our front-end framework, and Node as our server-side runtime environment. We used Heroku and Netlify to deploy our server and client side respectively, because we thought that was the best approach for us. And we used Cloudinary to host our images on the cloud. So now I'm going to pass over to Abdur.
Thank you, Mohammed. I would like to talk a little bit about our successes. I think the greatest success we had is being the implementation of progressive web app. being able to see the seamless transformation from our desktop view to our mobile app view was quite satisfying. Team dynamics has been pretty great. We have been communicating effectively and being able to deliver on time. We wanted to be able to learn a completely new stack and deliver a product within 2 weeks time. And I think we have done that quite efficiently. But with that, I would like to talk about our challenges and what we actually learned from it. The biggest challenge we had, the last minute bugs, probably like every other project, I would say. And what we actually learned from it, that keeping your calm in the situation and be able to work with the team actually gets the work done more than anything else. Deployment was a bit of a black box initially for us as well. But researching more into it, now we have a much better understanding of how the things are deployed and how internet works in general. And with that, I would like to talk a little bit about our possible progressions to kind of fully emulate the Bazaar experience. We want to implement a Haggle feature, and to kind of completely immerse into whole browsing experience. We want to learn more about VR and be able to incorporate that into our app. And with that, I'll hand you back, Mohammed.
Thank you so much for that, Abdur. So I would just like to say that thank you so much to my team and to coaches, especially to my team, because my team has been, we have been extremely efficient, and we have also built a long-lasting friendship as well in the last 2 weeks. So it's been a really great experience. So with that, this concludes our presentation. So do you have any questions for us?
All right, thank you, Team Bazaar. What a fantastic demo and presentation. I do have a question for you. I would love to know, out of all of the things you did in your project, what was the single best thing you did?
I think I'll take this one. I think without a doubt, the single best thing we did was making our app a progressive web app. And this was a choice that we made because we think that native apps are brilliant, but through our research, progressive web app from a business perspective increases interactivity and engagement in a business remarkably. And so we found that in the future, and currently, a lot of apps are moving away from building native apps to building what you've just seen, which is a progressive web app, because they're just easier for people to access, and also they're discoverable on the web. So most of the time, if you don't know that an app exists, you won't download it. But with this, as long as you can visit the website on your browser, you can download the app. So yeah, that's the thing we're proudest of.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Team Bazaar. And with that, let's move on in just a moment. Before we do that, I just want to quickly remind you, in case you arrived late, we will have a short Q&A at the end for any questions you and the audience have about makers and the course. So stick around for that if you have any questions. But for now, let's move on to Team Shutter, please.
Thank you, Alex, for that. So we are Team Shutter. Our team consists of Adam, Phil, Tiago, myself, Toby, and Johan. We originally had an idea to create a game hosting website where we had a live stream feature and where users can play games and chat with each other. But once during our development stages, we realized that this was not beneficial for our learning. So we decided to come up with a completely different project idea and move forward so that we can add more features to our app and actually learn more and consolidate everything we learned in the past 12 weeks. So this is Shutter. What is Shutter? Have you ever walked around London and wanted to know where the best locations are to take photos? This is what Shutter does. Shutter allows you to discover pins around London, explore hashtags you are interested in, run location searches, share your own photos, and view other pins on a map. I will now pass over to Phil, who would do a demonstration of our app.
Great. Thanks, Tiffany. So we're going to give a quick little demo of our app. We'll just get over the slide. So the first thing we did was we wanted to make it really really visual. So we open it with a big like video banner so that the client can easily see like what it's about, that it's a photo app, that it's very visual. We try to make the design as clean as possible, as well as like create clear call to action buttons so that people can easily sign up to our website. So I'm going to click sign up here, and we're basically going to fill it out. So we're going to put admin, 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 and then fill it out again with admin@email.com. We've actually added some authentication here to check that the password is strong or weak, as you can see by the bar there. And we've actually added a thing using Cloudinary where we can actually add profile pictures, including GIFs, so the users can get as creative as they want when they're uploading their profile picture. We're then going to create a user, which then takes us to our login page. We've used an API here to basically dynamically update the login feed. So every time you refresh, it creates new images on the landing, which will make it feel fresh to everyone that's just using the app again and again. Then we're basically going to log in, and this is kind of similar to an Instagram feed. We've built a big feed full of all the top locations in London where you can just find like basically anything, and then we're going to show you a bit more about it in a sec. I'm going to search for roof, which is basically going to show all the rooftop images. And we've created tags with also a thing called a modal, which is basically like a pop-up where you can keep everything on one page, and you can basically see mini details of everything, including a mini map, mini photo, description, tags, which we're going to demo in a moment, as well as a link to maps. The maps are dynamic, and basically you can click on it and it will auto push you into Google Maps. So if you're using it on your phone, you can easily find locations. And then say for this example, we're going to route from King's Cross. And it looks like it's about 34 minutes from King's Cross using the Northern Line and DLR, which is really nice. So if we go back to our app, we're going to close off the modal, and then we're going to look at this user Nunu. So if we click on Nunu, we can see all of their feeds, we can see their posts, we can see description, basically all the top details of each post, as well as we can see hashtags where we've grouped all of the images into one collection of pictures. So right now I'm going to look at sunset. You can see instantly all the pictures that have been tagged by sunset, which will be great once more users use the app, so it'll buff it out. We can go on inspiration, which we've tried to style as nicely as possible. We've done the top 9 hashtags that we have predefined as dealing with a small user base. We wanted to keep it as concise as possible. So I think I'm going to click on colorful. On colorful, you can see another feed here. So I'm just going to have a look down. And then I think I'm just going to upload a picture. I think I'd like to put a picture on the website. So I think I'm going to click upload, and I think I am going to add an image. So on the image, I'm going to upload, I think, this nice picture at Hyde Park, which we took earlier. And we've got a nice preview appearing on the left so the user can instantly see. We can also type addresses, and we've used the Google Maps API to basically dynamically pull search strings and convert them into GPS coordinates, which you can then push to your backend database. So I'm going to select Hyde Park. As you see, a little preview appears on the right. We can then put hashtags, captions, description, all the things that the user might want to put in order to like create their posts and kind of put it onto the website. So I think I'm going to put the hashtag greenery here, and then maybe I think I'm going to call the caption fountain in Hyde Park. A little bit of a typo, but thanks to autocorrect, we're going to get sorted. Now, fountain in Hyde Park, and click upload, little progress bar there to check it's working. And if we look, we can instantly, because it's React, it's instant loading. So you can instantly see Hyde Park has now appeared in our slides, which is really nice. And then we can go from the tags, we can go up, and I think we're going to go and click on the map, which is the bulk of it. We've managed to convert an entire database using just JavaScript and convert a whole database into pre-populated map pins. So you can just go on the app and you can instantly find places to go that include links to maps and how to get there. And I think that's it from me. And we'll log out, and I'm going to hand it over to Adam.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, so I'm going to go over the tech stack very briefly. So as you might have guessed, we went with the Mern tech stack, which is Mongo, Express, React, and Node. The reason we did this was because most of the course we dealt with Ruby and Rails, and we felt like we wanted to try something different. It also was the best fit for our app idea as well. And it's obviously a really popular technology right now. So we wanted to see what it could do, what it was all about. We also incorporated, as you know, Google Maps API for part of the search functions, as just seen in the demo. We also looked at MapBook API, which is basically a map developed by engineers at Uber, and it's completely free and very customizable. So we found it to be a perfect fit. And then Cloudinary is a cloud service for uploading photos, and then you can get an ID for that photo and put it in your database. So that was extremely useful for us as well. And we used Unsplash, which is what allows us on our website to have an API of that connects to different photos to rotate on the homepage, as you saw in the demo. And for design, we used Material UI and other packages and libraries such as Passport.js, which is used for authentication. Bcrypt was for our encryption. And the package manager we chose was Yarn over NodePM, because we started with NPM at first, and then we found out that a lot of it was very slow and out of date. We found out that actually Yarn is what most people are using at the moment. So I'm going to hand it over to Toby now, who's going to talk about process and design. Thanks.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about process and design. We started our process off by creating user stories so we could have an understanding of what our MVP was going to be. From this, we then decided to use Trello to create tickets that we could then work on. We also used it to track our progress and add any additional ideas if needed as we went along. As we were working, we did a lot of knowledge sharing, discussing how we were going to go about writing the code, how we could refactor the code, and basically share any materials that might be beneficial for us all. We used an agile methodology approach because we only had 2 weeks to get the project done. So utilizing agile enabled us to get all the features and components done kind of at once and as quickly as possible so that we could achieve the final result we wanted. And then on to design. So we kind of got a lot of the back end to where we wanted it to be and realized we needed to design the front end. So we got together and discussed exactly how we wanted the app to look, the features we wanted to highlight, and the general color scheme. We all agreed that because it's for photographers of all skill levels, we wanted to make our UI as visually appealing as possible. Thanks. Passing on to Johan.
Thank you, Toby. So planning was super important to make a project like this to happen in 2 weeks. So we decided to meet up 3 times a day in order to boost productivity. We had a stand-up at 10 a.m., which consisted of general checking, how we're feeling about the project, are we tired about the previous day working, night working for some, ticket attribution, on which topic are we going to work today. We need every morning to merge the pull request we've made on GitHub the last day, and we were reviewing the code. On 2 p.m., we have a check-in, an emotional check-in, how we're feeling about the application. Do we have any more cool ideas, any cool feature to add, to bring to the project? And at 5:30, we have a retro, an emotional check-in as well. How are we feeling? Are we tired? Are we wasting time anywhere? Are we still having fun on the project? And yeah, so it was 2 weeks which were really exhausting, but it was worth it. And I will now pass on to Thiago to conclude.
Thank you, Johan. These last 2 weeks definitely was a great learning experience for the team. We did use a stack of new technologies, but everyone was involved in the process of learning them. When we struggled, we did this as a team. We called each other. We set up some extra meetings to unblock our issues during the day. In the end, we're really proud of what we achieved and really proud of the application that we built. We want to say thank you to everyone who supported us in this journey. And thank you for coming along and watch our presentation. Is there any questions?
All right. Thank you, Team Shutter. What a fantastic app. I do have a question for you. You'll be really surprised to know. I'd love to know, so
out of all of the things as a team, what was your like top highlight from the last 2 weeks?
I would say our teamwork and dedication that everyone put into the project. We did spend maybe more time than we should around it, but it was extremely fun. The vibes in our group were amazing. And even when we struggled, we did manage to have a bit of fun.
All right. Thank you ever so much, Team Shutter. And with that, let's move on to our final group. Last but not least, it is Team Fridge Squad.
Yes, hello everybody and welcome to Team Fridge Squad. And today we are going to be showing off our Fridge Savant app for the rest of you guys. Finn, if you could start us off, please.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So Fridge Savant is a virtual kitchen assistant to help you make the best with what you've got. The initial idea came from a combination of things. First is a common problem that a few of us have, which is the trait of being sort of useless shoppers and ending up with a surplus of ingredients we don't know what to do with, which inevitably then go off. And on average, 70% of food waste could actually have been eaten at the time it's thrown away, which is sort of a dismal stat. We also wanted to circumvent that horrible feeling of being hungry and having no idea what to eat in order to make mealtimes more of a joy, especially for less experienced cooks. And the final seed idea for the app itself is actually a human analog. I have a friend who has this preternatural ability to open a fridge, see basically nothing, and somehow spin together some stunning meal, which is incredibly envy-inducing. So I wanted to steal his talent and automate it. And what we came up with as a team is Fridge Savant, which is an app into which you can enter a selection of ingredients, and then it will return to you a selection of recipes, prioritizing that combination of ingredients and minimizing the need to buy extra as far as possible. So it's really for the time poor, inexperienced cook who prefers to go by the book rather than off-piste, wants to reduce their environmental impact, save money, and just generally enjoy their mealtimes more in a stress-free way. So I'm going to hand over to Kane now, who will demo our app for you.
Okay, so welcome to Fridge Savant. When you visit our website to start off with, obviously you have to create an account. So enter the standard details, your name, email, and all that stuff. And once you've created your account, you'll get a nice little flash message pop up, which will just confirm your account creation. Or if you've made an error, it will tell you whereabouts you need to fix yourself up. So once you've created your account, you log in and it will send you to our main homepage. From here, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get a list of your ingredients and enter them into your basket. So for example, in this case, I've got some eggs, milk, and flour. And I also have some carrots. I actually changed my mind though. I don't want to use my carrots, so I'm just going to remove them from our basket and I'm going to have a look at our recipes. So we can see we've got some cupcakes here, so they look pretty good. So I'm going to bookmark them. We got some Yorkshire puddings as well, and I might save that for later. You can also share the recipe on Facebook, WhatsApp, or via email, and it will come with a pre-filled out form. And once you're ready to start cooking, you can view the recipe on the website, and that will give you all the details you need to start cooking. So the ingredients, the recipe, and any extra information you're going to need. So as you can see, there's a whole variety of meals here. You can get simple snacks to anything sweet or savory, depending on what your tastes are. And in the future, when you come back and you want to have a look at your bookmarks, you can look at your recipes tab, and that will give you an overview of all the bookmarks you saved in the past. Thanks for listening. I'll pass you over to Matt.
And if I can just get past the Zoom controls and get to the next one. There you go. So we went with the MERN tech stack, like a lot of our colleagues, which is based in JavaScript, which is significant because only 2 weeks out of the 12 weeks of Maker's main course is taught in JavaScript. But we did this very intentionally. We did it because we wanted a challenge. We did it because JavaScript's actually a much more popular language than Ruby, which is what most of the course is taught in. And it's much more similar to other languages. So we wanted a more representative example of what it is like to work in a real engineering team. And then lastly, we wanted to use it because it fit in with the nature of our app. Our app is kind of dynamic based on what data is coming through the page, and it wants to change a lot, and JavaScript and React is the perfect technology to do that. And Mike can tell you a little bit about our processes.
Thanks, Matt. We made several things quite intentional throughout these 2 weeks to make our process being smooth. So the first thing was having daily stand-ups and retros to ensure that knowledge was shared in a systematic way. We had small changes and regular code reviews. That was to help with building incrementally, get quick feedback, and then keep the confidence with the code. To enhance that confidence, we did a lot of testing, sometimes using TDD and sometimes through other kind of means. And we also made sure to keep the focus on code, because we're all foodies and we were teased every day by pictures of food popping up in our screen. That being said, we faced some challenges, but that were mainly related to learning a completely new stack. For example, we realized that TDD in React wasn't that easy to execute, and we actually looked online, and it turned out that it was the subject of many debates. With React, even having a context switching and a paradigm kind of shift as well from imperative and object-oriented programming that we learned with Ruby to kind of more declarative and functional programming style in React was a challenge that we were able to overcome for most of our app, and we're really proud of this. With that being said, I'm going to pass on to Noah, who's going to explain you why we made those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So as Mike mentioned, we made sure we were having stand-ups and retros on a daily basis in order to replicate an agile methodology. We had 4 principles at the core of our teamwork process. First, communication is key. This allowed us to know where we each stand and drive efficiencies while developing empathy and understanding the different needs and perspectives of the team members. Second, knowledge sharing. Doubling down on the previous, this helped with efficiency, but more than that, it prompted real synergy in the team. For example, we used Zoom breakout rooms to troubleshoot and informally share ideas. Third, agile workflow. Working in sprints towards achievable goals allowed us to remain flexible and reach our target. And finally, reconciling personal and team goals. This allowed us to find balance between achieving our personal goals and making sure the application is done to the highest standard. And now I'll pass it on to Jason.
Thank you very much, Noah. So to reflect upon our 2-week journey as a team, we agreed that we wanted to build a simple yet fun and effective app, which meant an overall great experience for the user. We strategized and defined our goals early to ensure we made a product that the user would want to come back to time after time. We made pull requests and we merged little and often. That ensured that every stand-up was smooth, and so our development process naturally progressed. Of course, bugs were inevitable, but we treated them as a learning opportunity, if anything. And within only 2 weeks, we built a strong, fun app, and we are all super proud of it. The process was enjoyable. The team dynamic was brilliant. So thank you for listening. We've been Team Fridge Squad. I hope this hasn't made you too hungry after watching this. And does anyone have any questions?
All right. Thank you, Team Fridge Squad. And I do have a question for you. Out of all of your goals as a team, which one of those do you think you managed the best?
I'm happy to answer that. So I suppose our main goal was we identified early on that user experience is vital for a successful app. And I suppose in order to fulfill that target, we ensured that the features that we had and the features that we had to offer were clean, they were usable, and such that the app really speaks for itself. And I think what's really important is a simple feature done well is the key to a successful product.
All right. Thank you, Team Fridge Squad. That concludes our demos and presentations for today. Thank you all. You've done amazing work over the last couple of weeks, and you've done amazing work over the last 16 weeks here at Makers. I'm really proud to have worked with you. And now we're going to move on to our Q&A section. So
presenters, feel free to drop off the call now if you want to. And I'm going to introduce Alex, who is my co-host. So I'm Alex A, and I will introduce you to Alex B. Would you like to say a few words about yourself before we carry on?
Hi, Alex. Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. I've just realized I've managed to hide my camera, so I'm just figuring out how to unhide myself. Give me a couple of seconds. Here I am. Brilliant. What a fantastic set of final projects. I don't know about everyone else, but I am absolutely starving after that Fridge Squad one at the end now. I can't wait to order a takeaway. But yeah, we're on to the Q&A section of the demo day now. So anyone who's got any questions about the course, about makers, about anything around anything how it works, we're here to answer your questions. So please do submit those via the Q&A function at the bottom of the Zoom panel. I can see we've had one through already around recipes, but we haven't had any about the course yet. So I'm happy to kick off just to kind of get the conversation flowing. And anyone else, I'll just watch your questions filter through and we can answer them as we go along. We've got about 15, 20 minutes for this section. So yeah, any burning questions you have about how long the course is, what kinds of things are covered on the curriculum, anything at all really about the selection process or about time to hire after the course, about the kind of job prospects you can hope for after training with makers. Just get your questions in and we can answer them. No questions yet from the floor. So I will kick off with a question around the curriculum. Alex, what do we learn at Makers? How's the course structured? What kinds of technologies can people hope to get into?
So thank you, Alex. That's a great question. I think, so at Makers, people learn a few different things. We focus mainly on Ruby, which helps to teach programming fundamentals in a relatively friendly and approachable fashion. And then we move on to how to learn a new language and how to work in a team for the later half of the course. Alongside that, there's the emotional intelligence curriculum, which helps to build resilience and really forms a foundation for that team working as well.
Amazing. Thanks, Alex. Yes, the emotional intelligence side is, I think, a definite unique factor for Makers. I can't see many other bootcamps that offer that. And just seeing the presentations that we've had today, obviously that kind of empathy and teamwork just came through really, really strong. So it's awesome to kind of talk about that. I can see another couple of questions coming through now. So Ben asks, how intense is the day-to-day workload? Oh, I think that's a question for you as well, Alex, as technical coach. I'm sure you'll be able to answer it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a minimum expectation of effectively full-time working on the course. It's a boot camp, so I think it tends to be relatively intense in terms of people's experience of it. But there are places where if you need to take a little time back for yourself, that's absolutely fine. And of course, we've got the emotional intelligence side and we've got the support. So if you're finding it a bit too much, you should definitely reach out and we will work with you to work it out.
Exactly. And it's sort of, yeah, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, Monday to Friday, and a few weekend challenges thrown in as well. So we will keep you quite busy. Yeah. Okay. And an anonymous attendee has a question around, where students come from before. Do students tend to have previous experience? I'm guessing this is previous experience with coding. I can take that one if you like. I mean, as someone who works in the marketing team, I'm obviously dealing with a lot of applicants, and having worked at Makers for almost 5 years now, I've seen thousands, it must be over 2,000 students come through the course, and it's really amazing to be able to see just the diversity of people that come through. And the answer is no, not really. I mean, we train people from all different kinds of career background. They usually had a job in something or other to begin with, or they're fresh out of uni. But usually they've had a job in any number of industries, really. We've had people from hospitality, from finance, people who've trained as lawyers, who've realized actually this corporate world is not for them. A really, really broad range of people. And, the course is designed for beginners. So obviously, we encourage people to apply who can demonstrate a kind of passion for technology and a desire to want to kind of get stuck in and teach themselves and learn quite quickly. But you don't have to have previous experience in tech. is my answer to that. Would you add anything to that, Alex?
I think you've pretty much covered it. Applicants tend not to have previous experience in tech, but everyone has really valuable previous experience that they bring.
Yeah, I probably covered it, to be fair. So yes, sorry to steal your thunder there. Fantastic. Okay, we've got a question from Fiona next. Is the course exclusively agile, or can we experiment with lean development or other frameworks? Ooh, great question, Alex. Over to you.
So we don't go super deep into agile and lean. We'll spend some time on it, and we've got some basic structure around that, but I wouldn't expect someone to come out of the course knowing every little detail of agile and lean, but everyone's prepared to work in an agile environment. And I think it's reasonably easy to translate that into working in a lean environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely set up, almost like a real workplace, so that, when you actually transition into your first tech team or whatever, you're very well prepared for working in the way that it's gonna, collaboratively with other people, and just in like a kind of like a real live simulated workplace environment. Okay, Tatiana asks, what are the job prospects after this course? Excellent question. This is obviously one of the main reasons why people come to Makers, to get their first job as a software developer, not just learning for fun, even though it is fun, learning to actually start your career in tech. So brilliant question. The job prospects are very good. We usually, I would say 100% of the people that want to get a job after the course will have done so within 6 months from finishing the course. It used to be 3 months before the pandemic. We actually slowed down a little bit due to being remote and the country having, such uncertain times. But we can see that picking up again already. And yeah, we have partnerships with about 300 different hiring partners, anyone from big corporates like Deloitte, Ford, BGL, comparethemarket.com, to little startups as well. So it really depends on what you're looking for in your first job after the boot camp. And we have a really, really well built out career service as well. I think it's unrivaled with any other boot camp. When the course ends, the real work starts of actually finding a job, and you won't have to do that alone. You'll be supported every step of the way by a fully fledged careers team who, they do everything from kind of one-to-one support with writing your CV to, technical support as well. Like, you continue learning and building on your technical skills after the course as well. And yeah, we do everything in our power to support people into their first job. And if you want a job, you'll get a job. You just have to be persistent. I think that's the message there. Fantastic. Okay, next question. We've got a question about Bazaar. So the Bazaar app was created as a progressive web app. Are these covered as part of the course or something that was chosen by the team? Ooh, Alex, one for you.
Okay, yep, that's definitely one for me. So progressive web apps are not specifically covered as part of the course. This was something that was chosen by the team, and the team took some of their valuable time in this final project to develop their understanding and to work to accomplish that.
Exactly. Yeah. So obviously there's a lot of ownership that we encourage on the course. So, by the end, and a lot of agility in picking up like new languages and frameworks and being able to teach yourself stuff. So that's why you can see all these final projects are created in technologies that might not have been covered as part of the base curriculum, because everyone's confident enough to kind of master new technologies, basically. So which is pretty cool. Fantastic. Question from Amelia next. Hi, Amelia. If we're part of a remote cohort only, are there any opportunities at all to come in and work or visit in person? I can take this one because it's kind of hot off the press, actually. We've literally just this week released news of our new hybrid delivery option, which is going to start from August pre-course onwards. So if you're applying for any cohort from the August pre-course onwards, we're actually going to give it to you as an option to come into the campus from September onwards to work in person with your cohort. Just because, remote's fantastic. It's obviously a really good opportunity for anyone who's learning a little bit further afield and doesn't have that opportunity to come into the Makers Campus. But yeah, we all know about Zoom fatigue by now. And for some people, you know, they really learn better with the support of their cohort. So the short answer is yes, we will be offering a hybrid delivery format from August onwards. And from that point on, it will be alternate cohorts. So we're running a hybrid one, pre-course starting in August, on-site from September, and then the next one will be fully remote, and then the next one will be hybrid, and so on and so forth. And we're going to see what the demand is like for both options before confirming dates further down the line. But yes, there's definitely an opportunity to collaborate in person with your cohort. And yeah, happy to answer any more on that if anyone has other questions about hybrid, because it is kind of like brand new information that we've only just released. So great. Brilliant. Alexander has a question around Java. Are we studying Java during this bootcamp, Alex?
So, no, we don't teach Java, but if you have the enthusiasm to persuade your final project team, for example, that you want to work in Java, then that is absolutely an opportunity. And even if you don't have that opportunity, we've had students successfully get jobs working in Java, having effectively learned the language shortly after the course. So
yeah, basically you can, if you want, you can. You'll be able to teach yourself Java, right? That's the short answer.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I'm a little bit curious about this next question. I would like an explanation on your agnostic approach to learning software. Okay, so this is about how we facilitate you know, the ability to master any language or framework. I would love to know in more detail myself. I hope I'm understanding that question right. If I've not understood that right, please do type and clarify. But Alex, I mean, how do we do that? I guess it's more about I know that there's a talk that Alice does on this, but I'll let you take it away. I'm sure you probably have more detail.
So I would love to see Alice's talk on this. I've not yet seen that. But in short, when you're learning to program, you're not just learning the syntax of how to form the words, but you're also learning a deep structure on how to communicate and work in code. So while the syntax, the structure, the language is different, the deep structure is something that we also work really hard to teach. And you can see how successful it is. You know, in the course, we spend 2 weeks teaching JavaScript, and you've seen 3 final projects delivered in JavaScript. So, yeah, so the ability to code and the ability to communicate about code is, to some extent at least, quite agnostic. And syntax is something that everyone comes out of the course with a pretty good ability to learn.
Great answer, Alex. I'm glad I let you take that one, because I don't think I would have explained nearly as well. So thank you for that. I remembered the gem from Alice's talk that she mentioned around training behaviors over concretes and concepts, I believe. But I think you did a great job of answering that without my help. Yeah, go on. So if you have anything else to add on that, go for it.
I'm very, very happy to talk a little bit more about that. So some of those skills and behaviors are things like how to break down problems and how to really drill into something to see where it's going wrong. And these are a focus of our teaching and the course. And these behaviors help to inform those deep structures behind languages as well.
Perfect, thank you. That's much clearer. Appreciate that. Okay, we have a question from Ed next on how do you form project teams? Is it based on any previous experience, course, progress, or similar interests? One for you, Alex.
So there are, I think, 4 projects throughout the course. And most of those teams are formed randomly, with some minor exceptions, but the vast majority of the time they're formed randomly. For the final project teams, it's a little bit different. So we have a final project ideation session where people bring their ideas together, and we pull out some themes that people might want to work around. And the coach will then form teams around those project ideas. So Cyber Playground, well, the team that was going to be Cyber Playground, who pivoted to Shutter, explained a little bit of this in their presentation. They originally were thinking of doing something around games, and when they decided as a team that they weren't going to learn optimally that way, they flipped the switch, did a pivot, and moved into the Shutter idea with the images on a map.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. I hope that answers the question. I've got a question from Abby next around, after the pandemic, do you have a plan to start classroom lessons? Yes, this is similar to the one I answered before around our new hybrid option. It's brand new information, so I'm happy to go over it again and give you a little bit more detail about what that's going to look like. But essentially, yes, like we've obviously been waiting for government guidance in order to try and open up the cohorts on campus, because we do have such a wonderful space in Shoreditch where people can come, and it's just very collaborative. It's a great space basically, and we do have a plan to start lessons here in a hybrid format, so it won't be exactly like before the pandemic, where we were on site every day for 12 weeks straight. It will be 1 week out of 3 weeks, I believe, and only 4 days out of 5 for those weeks. So it will be a kind of blended approach. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds, really. An opportunity to kind of collaborate with other members of your cohort, share ideas, communicate in person, much less kind of Zoom fatigue, less screen time, and then obviously going back to being remote during the other parts of the course as well. So it's really the best of both worlds. And
yeah, go on. If I may, I'd like to add a little bit to that, which is that the specific weeks where people will be in person will have some coaching input as well. So we'll choose those weeks where it's really most crucial to your learning.
Exactly, that's a really good point, Alex. So like week 1, I think, and then maybe like the last week, I think, are some of the weeks that are included on that schedule. Yeah, it should be fun. We're really looking forward to welcoming students back on site. It's been far too long, so yeah, looking forward to it. Okay, we have an easy one next. What is the price of the course? I can take that one. The price of the course is £8,000. We do have a great new financing option on the site, because obviously we realized that's quite a big chunk of money for people just to have lying around in their bank accounts. It's called Lendwise. You can check it out on the makers.tech/financing page of the website. It just links to Lendwise, and you can get a quote on whether or not they're likely to be able to finance you, but it's pretty chill. It's I can give you a little bit more detail on that. It's basically, you don't have to pay anything back until you get a job after the course, which is quite good. And we've also got a Q&A coming up in the next few weeks where someone from Lendwise will be there as well. So if you have any more questions around how to finance the course, they'll be able to help with that one. Fantastic. I think that's all of the questions we've got so far. Any other questions while we've got a little bit more time? Otherwise, we will look at wrapping up. I know it's Friday night and we've got the football on later, if anyone cares about that. I don't know. I don't actually care about that, but maybe some people do. So yeah, any last questions before we wrap up? We're all right. I think we've done it, Alex. I think we've smashed it. Nice.
All right.
Well, all that remains to say then is a big thank you to all of the teams that presented their final projects tonight. I'm sure they're going to be celebrating after finishing the intensive part of boot camp. And yeah, thanks for coming. If anyone has any other questions, you can submit them on our website. Just on the chat function, or submit an application if you're ready, and someone from the core sales team will hold your hand through the process on that as well. Brilliant.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you ever so much, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Take it easy. Bye, everyone.